Listen. Listen well. Come closer to the fire, where the night breathes softly and the wind carries whispers through the baobab leaves. For stories are not just told. They are shared, passed from mouth to ear, from heart to heart. And this is the story of how stories themselves almost disappeared into the hands of one clever creature. Long ago, when the world was still young and stories were few, all tales belonged to the sky god, high above the clouds. He kept them safe in a great woven basket of light. Stories of laughter, stories of sorrow, stories of wisdom, stories of warning. No one below could tell a story unless the sky god allowed it. Down below, in a village surrounded by tall grasses and red earth, lived Anansi the Spider, small in size, but vast in cunning. Anansi loved stories more than ripe fruit, more than cool water, more than anything. But Anansi did not just want to hear stories. He wanted to own them. One day, he said, "All the stories in the world should belong to me. Why should the sky god keep them so far away?" So, with a clever plan forming in his mind, Anansi began to climb. Up the tallest tree, past the drifting clouds, until he reached the sky god's golden court. The sky god looked down at the tiny spider and asked in a voice like thunder wrapped in calm, "Little spider, why have you come so far?" Anansi bowed low and replied smoothly, "Great sky god, I have come to ask for something small, something you would hardly miss." The sky god's eyes shimmered. "You are bold, little spider, too bold. But if you truly want the stories, you must earn them. Bring me 3 things: the hornet of fire, the python of the deep forest, and the leopard that walks like a shadow." Anansi returned to Earth with a smile. First, he went after the fierce hornets. He filled a calabash with water and poured it over himself. "Rain is coming!" he shouted. The hornets rushed into a hollow gourd, and Anansi sealed it. "The hornet of fire is mine," he chuckled. Next, he went to the mighty python, long, strong, and wise. "Brother Python," Anansi called, "I have been arguing with my wife. She says you are not as long as this branch." The python proudly stretched himself along the branch. While the python measured, Anansi tied him tight with vines and his own silk. "And now," Anansi grinned, "the python of the deep forest is mine." Finally, Anansi went to the powerful leopard. "Great leopard," he called, "I have made a trap stronger than any cage, but I need your help to test it." The proud leopard stepped inside. Snap! The trap closed. "And now," Anansi said softly, "the leopard that walks like a shadow is mine." One by one, Anansi carried the 3 creatures back to the sky god. The sky god watched in silence, then said, "You have done what many could not. Take them. Take all the stories." And he handed Anansi the great glowing basket. Anansi trembled with joy. "All the stories. All mine," he whispered greedily. Back in the village, Anansi hid the basket. But stories do not stay quiet. They whisper. They long to be told. One evening, the village gathered once more under the great baobab tree. Before Anansi could begin, his children spoke up innocently. "Father, tell them how the hornets hid because they were afraid of rain, and how the python thought he was just measuring himself." And the leopard who walked into your trap all by himself." The village grew very quiet. All eyes turned to Anansi. The elders leaned forward. The fire seemed to dim. Then the oldest tortoise stood and said slowly, "Stories gained by trickery do not belong to one voice. Stories live where truth lives." The animals nodded. They decided that from now on, every creature would tell stories, but only those spoken with truth would be kept and shared. When it was Anansi's turn, he stood humbly. "I wanted all the stories," he said quietly, "but I forgot. Stories are not meant to be owned. Stories grow when they are shared." The elders nodded. "The stories will not belong to you alone," they said. "They will belong to all of us." And so the basket was opened. Stories flew out like birds at dawn, into the air, into the people, into the world. From that day on, stories were no longer locked away. They traveled through villages, forests, and rivers. They belonged to everyone. And Anansi? Anansi still tells stories. But now, he listens too. So listen carefully as you sit here by the fire. This story you have just heard. Whose is it? Is it mine for telling it? Or yours for carrying it forward?